Howdy folks. Today's going to be a little bit of a short vid, and one no one's likely to agree with. On to it, shall we? Okay, so today's vid, we're going to talk about why you should probably not start on an Indian Scout. First of all, you guys like the mirrors? I just moved them down today. Cleans the look up real nice. Anyway, the Indian Scout is a very, very fantastic cruiser. It is the most, it's the nicest cruiser I think I've ever had the pleasure to ride, and that's why I own one. However, it is not my first cruiser, and it's also not my biggest cruiser. I've ridden far bigger, and so far the Scout's my favorite. Oh, some nice ones over there. Now, to any of you guys out there who already ride a Scout, that is going to seem like such a ridiculous statement, and I completely agree. It's going to feel that way. And I'm coming from this with a background as it relates to beginning. That's a stupid sentence. That doesn't make sense, does it? So I'm coming at you today with this because I have an aforementioned social media problem that I'm starting to do pretty well in curbing, actually, but it was a forum post. Someone said, how many of y'all have started out on an Indian Scout? And of course we're going to omit the people that say a Scout 60. I actually think that the Scout 60 is a fantastic bike to start out on. I don't think you should buy a new bike as your first bike, however. But if you're dead set on doing that, I don't think you could get a better bike than the Scout 60 to start with. So why do I not recommend the Scout as a starter bike? Well, the answer is simple. It has too much power. What the hell are you talking about? What do you mean it's too much power? It's a cruiser. It handles well. Yeah, it does. The handling is so good that it lulls you into a sense of security. That's going to be point number one. The bike is fantastic at handling. It handles on stock Kenda cruise tires like my Suzuki Intruder handled with Avon Venoms. It handles very well, and that's the problem. It makes you think you're a better rider than you are. Now, that's not my main point. That's just part one of my contention here. The main point is the power band, because with the power of the Indian Scout, if you're just in daily traffic, you're just moving along, it's an entirely tame machine, y'all. It's graceful in its power delivery. But this V-twin engine, it acts like a sport bike, you guys. Like right now, I'm just chugging along behind this Dodge Aspen, or Chrysler Aspen, deciding which gear I want to be in, because they're going slow. Yes, I will concede this. If you are a daily driver who takes it easy on the Scout, you will be fine. You're not gonna die. You're not gonna go wildly off-road with an unexpected burst of power until you're actually getting to know your machine. And despite the fact that this makes 100 horsepower, yes, I know, it's at the crank, it doesn't feel like it. This thing chugs along better than my 1400 Intruder did at low RPM. And that thing was a torque monster. This thing's power band is like a sport bike in that its power band is way up high. Most of y'all shift at $4,000. And by y'all, I mean Scout riders. I'm making the mistake of speaking to the people who disagreed with me initially on my forum post. So what I'm doing is short shifting. I'm not shifting until I get to $4,000, and that's fine. That's fine for daily traffic. You see it, 30. I'm using fourth as an overdrive right now. But if I were to shift down into the second, it's way too much, you guys. Now, I know everyone's different, but I'll tell you what, when I was fresh out of that MSF course, which that's where every one of you should start getting your license. Do not go to the DMV, they will not teach you how to ride. When I was just fresh out of that course, I stepped on to a 1994 Suzuki Intruder VS800. You learn on 250s. That's fine. That's what you should learn on. And then me stepping on that 800 with 50 horsepower less than this thing, and I was just thinking, This thing was too much. I had to treat that thing like a sport bike in that you gotta respect the power. And the VS 800 was by no means a sport bike at all. That thing was slow by comparison to now. And of course, to every one of you guys who started on a Scout, if you consider the speed of that bike that I started on, you would think, what? Would you start on a scooter? All right, Mr. Cop impersonator with the angry headlight decals. But no one's going to agree with me here. I've pretty much accepted that. Now, the reason I want to say the Scout 60 is a great starter bike is because it will offer you the handling that you would love to have with any other cruiser. And its power band at the top is gutted. Not a lot of people doing that on a Scout 60 getting as fast a speed as I am. This thing will jump 20 miles an hour with one flick of the throttle in a millisecond. Some science involved. Believe me, I'm an expert. But for me, starting off with a VS 800 and immediately noticing that I had way more power than a 250, I wanted to actually say that it took me a while to grow into that bike. I can perfectly say now in retrospect that a Vulcan 650 or Honda Shadow 650 would have been a much better investment as the next bike. But I just went to the Suzuki Intruder because I loved the way it looked. And remember what I said in my last video? That's what everyone buys, man. Everyone buys the looks. And I can't blame you if the looks are what drew you to the Scout. So by now there's already 50 people in the comments section saying how much of a pussy I am. I don't care. You can take it from your dealership salesman, or you can take it from me, a guy who started on smaller bikes. The goal is to learn on a bike that you can fully wind out comfortably. You want to learn the handling, the ins and outs. You want to lean that bike over till your knee is damn near dragging in the corners. With a bigger bike, that becomes a lot more challenging to manage the weight, and it becomes a lot less forgiving if you don't have a fully developed throttle wrist. So guys, that's going to be my quick input for the day. Another unpopular opinion, yet another from this channel. Anyway guys, that's going to be it. Peace out, take care.